And it appears that they don't want me holding the tenant accountable for even what's in the lease.
No one should have to go through this. And that's the stance that T and I are making. If we have to be the advocate for landlords in Section 8, that's just what it has to be. Because
welcome to the channel. This is part 3 of the tenant destroying our property. So I said we have to do a series like this on it, but geez. So if you haven't watched the first 2 videos, make sure you check them out, and we'll just give a quick recap of where we left off at. We left off on sending a notice to the tenant, which was a 7-day to cure, and we were waiting on her response. The responses were in text messages where she was quite upset and she did not send the items that needed to be cured, although she stated that she would do, and she even put in her words, in quotes, this stuff is easy repairs.
So as T mentioned, she is completely, at this point, really in non-compliance. She has no type of qualms whether to fix the home. She totally does not care. She has caused more issues in the home. She has caused more violations since being here. And I know that in the comments, and we have heard from other people, well, the lease is ending within what, 3 months or so, by the end of the year. Why not just keep her in? Because the longer she stays in, the more destruction she is going to cause.
What she's doing.
Because at this time, she's absolutely livid. She is pissed. She's mad. And now we also left off where we reached out to Section 8, and we hadn't, in the last video, we hadn't heard from them yet. However, they reached out to T, and this is what happened.
So before I get there, I want to address something with the comments, because things are different depending on the state. So I mentioned about the Florida statute, because again, it's different by state. So I want to go over the Florida statute with you guys so you can understand where we're coming from and why we're taking these steps to get her basically out of the property. All right, so the Florida statute is 83.56 that I'll be reading from, and it's termination of rental agreement. If the tenant materially fails to comply with section 83.52, and let's go to 83.52, which is tenant's obligation to maintain the dwelling unit, the tenant at all times during the tenancy shall, 1, comply with all obligations imposed upon tenants by applicable provisions of building, housing, and health codes. You see what's going on with the house as far as health goes. All right, number 2, keep that part of the premises which he or she occupies and uses clean and sanitary.
Clean, keyword right there.
And sanitary. That house is definitely not clean nor sanitary.
Deplorable.
Number 3, remove the tenant's dwelling unit all garbage in a clean and sanitary manner. Number 4, keep all plumbing fixtures in the dwelling unit or used by the tenant clean and sanitary and in repair. And as I stated on the previous video, I had to get plumbing work done because of plumbing, and that's a thing here as well. Number 5, use and operate in a reasonable manner all electrical. She's caused electrical damage. Plumbing, caused plumbing damage. Sanitary, highly unsanitary house, the way she has it. Heating, she makes it the HVAC. Ventilation and air conditioning and other facilities and appliances. Number 6, not destroy, damage. She's obviously damaged. I mean, basically everything here she's done all right. Impair or remove any part of the premises or property therein belonging to the landlord, nor permit any person to do so. Number 7, conduct him or herself and require other persons on the premises with his or her consent to conduct themselves in a manner that does not unreasonably disturb the tenant's neighbors, which she has done, or constitute a breach of the peace, which she has done. Guys, this is important because when we'll get into it later, but when talking to Section 8, they have no idea what we were talking about with the sanitation. They didn't even know that it was in the statute, because originally when we went down there, the lady was like, well, you can't do anything if it's not sanitary and clean and damages. Okay, you obviously don't know the statute.
So I just want to set the record straight. T and I, we are not lawyers. We are landlords that is highly, highly invested in our assets. If you are going to get into this business, it will behoove you to know how the law works. Especially, this could be the difference in you being sued or you not being sued, or you being on the wrong side of the track or the right side of the track. Because you cannot simply just put someone out because they're nasty, even though we wish it was like that. But the law is broken down where as long as they hit something that is a requirement to go to the next step, then you have grounds to begin that process. And that process begins with the notices, like we mentioned in the first video. However, if the person, like the tenant in this case, has not complied, we have grounds to move to the next level. And the next level is the notice that T is about to speak about. But first, we're going to talk about Section 8 and what they have to do with this.
And before we go there, I also want to go over the HAP contract termination. So it says termination of tenancy by owner. Grounds: serious or repeated violations of the lease, violation of federal, state, or local law that impose obligations on the tenant in connection with the occupancy or use of the unit. Number 3, criminal activity or alcohol abuse. Or number 4, this is very important right here, other good cause as provided in paragraph D. Paragraph D says during the initial lease term or during any extension term, other good causes may include disturbance of neighbors. They were throwing rocks at the neighbors, plus other things they're doing as well. Destruction of property, which she has clearly done, or living or housekeeping habits that cause damage to the unit or premises, which she has done. So, continuing on, after the email to the case worker as well as the case worker's supervisor, I never got a reply, so I went above them. I went to the assistant director and director. The assistant director quickly replied. She replied the same day, actually. And the director replied the next day and wanted to know, are we going to be moving forward with the lease termination or not? The same day also, all of a sudden now I get a call from the caseworker. And that was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
She says, hey, I'm sorry I didn't respond to you, but what's going on is that the tenant was taken away to me, that she has another caseworker, but they told me to give you a call. So my first thing is, why are you calling me if you're not the caseworker then? Doesn't make sense. So she goes, well, I want to go over it because they might give it back to me because they told me to go ahead and do a renewal for her. And so I said, even with all these issues, you guys just a renewal for her. Okay. She's like, well, let's talk about it. You know, what are your intentions? I said, well, I'm following the Florida statute. She's been sent a 7-day notice to cure, which she has not complied with, and the lease is terminated at this stage, and she had not complied, and she had additional time. I mean, this is the damages, and the notification really was last month. Hey, fix this, and then the letter went out the end last month or beginning of this month.
It went out the first.
So she hasn't complied. And again, she stated, oh, this is easy. But she has not fixed anything. She hasn't done anything. So I told him, you know, I'm going to move forward with the Florida statute. And now I'm going to send out another notice, a notice to vacate the property. And they said, well, that's not enough time because how are we going to, relocate her said, that's not my problem. How am I going to pay for the damages, get all the damages repaired? What time am I going to have to, turn over the property to someone else? Just like that's not your problem. That's not my problem that she doesn't have anywhere to go, or wherever she goes from there. That's not my concern. My concern is getting her out of the property and getting my property back. So Section 8 is not willing to hold the tenant accountable for what's in the HAP contract. And it appears that they don't want me holding the tenant accountable for even what's in the lease, because they're worried about, well, we need time to relocate the tenant. What about the fact that the owner needs time to go in there to make the repairs so we can turn the property over? So whatever goes on with her timeline for moving, that's not my problem. She shouldn't have done the damages, nor caused the disturbance. She shouldn't have violated the contract nor the lease. She should have just simply followed the rules. And that Section 8 worker was saying, well, typically they get like 60 days. No. I'm going by the Florida statute. I'm not playing these games, because as long as she's in there, more damage is going to get caused. I mean, it appears like they don't care about landlords. That's what it appears like to me.
I mean, yeah, you're right, T, because the bottom line is really this. If you have a contract and you're not willing to hold anybody accountable, and when I say anybody, I mean the tenant, but we as landlords have to jump through hoops to even just get someone in the property and have to uphold that contract, your contract means absolutely nothing. Now, us as landlords, I have no faith in your system. I have no faith that you are giving us reputable people. I have no faith in your process of vetting these people. Because now, if you guys remember from the first video, we said that she checked all the way out, all the boxes. She came from public housing. But now I'm thinking in my head, is this some type of scheme? Because the reality is she's going to jump, because they're going to allow her to stay on that program, from the one landlord to the next landlord.
Right. And what if the next landlord can't afford to make the repairs? And the crazy part about it, I mean, the caseworker says, I've been doing this for 20 years and I've never heard of any tenant, causing damages or doing anything. Really?
Right.
In 20 years.
Right.
But like I said, what happens next? Since they just willing to up and move, the tenant like this, it's just another landlord's problem. And that continues on and on and on. The cycle continues within the system.
Exactly, you guys. So us as landlords, you have to realize we have a lot more power than you think that you might have. In order for that Section 8 voucher to be executed, they need landlords. They cannot pay anybody. They do not have housing. I mean, they have public housing, but it's not attached to that. I mean, it's only so many things. So they need landlords. But right now, it's feeling like the landlords are extendable. So we definitely don't want this to happen to any landlord anymore. No one should have to go through this. And that's the stance that T and I are making. If we have to be the advocate for landlords in Section 8, that's just what it has to be, because the process is broken. The system is broken. And everyone, it seems like, inside of this system knows nothing about what is going on.
So that 7-day notice to vacate is going out next week, since already the 7-day to cure went out and she did not comply. So now the 7-day notice to vacate is going out. Unfortunately, it has to go out on Tuesday because Monday is a holiday. So after those 7 days, hopefully she will, follow and vacate. If not, going down to the courts the next day to file for eviction.
And with that, y'all, we keep y'all updated with the next video.
We out.